Breaking news today. On Friday, Russia will launch its first lunar mission in nearly half a century. After several setbacks, Russia announced Monday that it plans to launch a lunar lander this week in an effort to reach the Moon for the first time in nearly half a century. According to Roscosmos, the Russian space agency, the launch of the Luna 25 lander is planned for Friday morning. Russia's first mission to the Moon since 1976 is part of an effort to revive and expand upon the Soviet Union's groundbreaking space program. After relations with the West deteriorated at the start of Moscow's offensive in Ukraine last year, President Vladimir Putin is looking to strengthen cooperation in space with China, and this launch is the first mission of Moscow's new lunar project. According to Roscosmos, a Soyuz rocket for the lander's launch has been assembled at the Vostochny Cosmodrome in the Russian Far East. Roscosmos has said that the Luna 25 will need to practice soft landings, collect soil samples, and conduct long-term scientific research. The four-legged lander will hopefully touch down near the lunar South Pole, and it weighs about 800 kilograms, 1,750 pounds. However, most previous moon landings have taken place in regions closer to the Moon's equator. It will take the spacecraft about 5 days from launch to get to the Moon. Complete punishment. The European Space Agency, ESA, announced that it would not be working with Russia on the upcoming launch of Luna 25 or the subsequent launches of Luna 26 and Luna 27 after Putin sent troops to Ukraine last year. Moscow announced it would continue its lunar plans regardless of the pullout, replacing ESA equipment with Russian-made scientific instruments. Russian President Vladimir Putin said last year at the Vostochny Cosmodrome that the Soviet Union launched the first human into space in 1961 despite total sanctions. In response to Western sanctions imposed in response to the assault in Ukraine, the head of the Kremlin insisted that Moscow would similarly continue to develop its lunar program. Putin said, "Despite any difficulties and any attempts to prevent us in this movement from the outside, we are guided by the ambition of our ancestors to move forward." Roscosmos chief Yuri Borisov warned in June that the upcoming launch was fraught with danger. The objective of this mission is to touch down at the South Pole. During a conversation with Putin, he remarked, "No one in the world has ever done such things." It is estimated that about 70% of such missions will be completed successfully. Evacuation. Residents of the village of Shakhtinsky in the far eastern region of Khabarovsk were evacuated before Friday's launch because that is where the rocket's boosters are expected to fall. The Luna 24 returned to Earth with soil samples from the Moon during the final Soviet moon mission in 1976. In 1957, the Soviet Union put the first artificial satellite, Sputnik, into orbit. Subsequently, they put the first animal, Laika, and the first humans, Yuri Gagarin and Valentina Tereshkova, into space. However, the modern Russian government has had trouble encouraging innovation like it did during the Soviet era, and the country's space industry has had trouble securing state funding due to the Kremlin's focus on military spending. Corruption scandals and failed launches are just two of the many problems that have plagued Russia's space agency, which is still using technology from the Soviet era. Moscow is also lagging behind the United States and China in the international space race.